In this video, I will show 4 problems that happen to me when the Home Assistant has been neglected for almost 1 year and provide solutions for them. Yes, I barely managed my Home Assistant for that long period. I only powered my Raspberry Pi, and that was all. Months later, the TTS function stopped working and showed some error message. Also, unlike before, when I tried to enter a TTS message on the overview screen, I had to go through multiple steps to enter the text. Then Node-RED stopped working. Sometime later, the ESP Home also complained that my current add-on is no longer supported. And finally, the Home Assistant became unconnectable from my smartphone and web browser. Although the connection issue was easily solved, it was only after checking these 4 problems that I started to look into Home Assistant again and decided to start a new season of the Makeshift channel. In this video, we will solve the above 4 problems and learn how to use TTS function conveniently on the overview screen. Hello everyone. Makeshift channel is finally back. I will skip telling what happened during my hiatus and what I will present next. Instead, I will go straight to the main topic. Let's check the Home Assistant connection issue first. The thing you need to know is that those Home Assistant connection problems can be caused by various reasons. So, most likely, the method I'm showing now cannot be applied to all cases. Please refer to it only if you have this problem after your Home Assistant has not been maintained for a long time. Also, I tried various things but, in my case, the way I solved was very simple and ridiculous. So, the reason I share all the processes is hoping some of the steps are helpful to you to some extent. One day, I got a pop-up message from my smartphone that my mobile data usage was larger than usual. The data usage for the Home Assistant app was quite dominant, and I wanted to know what was wrong. However, when I opened up the Home Assistant app, it couldn't bring me to the service and just showed me a message that the certification was invalid. The first thing I tried was to reinstall the Home Assistant app from the Google Play Store. However, after running the app and re-entering the URL followed by the correct port number, the same message popped up. Next, I opened the Chrome web browser on my PC and entered the URL in the address bar, but the connection failed again and only asked me to retry. I navigated to the DuckDNS site but couldn't find anything quite wrong. On this screen, I was able to know the external IP address of our home internet. So I used this IP address in the Chrome address bar. When I directly typed my external IP address instead of the DuckDNS URL, the Home Assistant login screen finally showed up. So, I thought that there might be a problem with DuckDNS's certification. However, when I opened the browser in incognito mode of Chrome and entered the DuckDNS URL, the connection was made surprisingly. So, at this state, I went to Settings, Add-ons and DuckDNS and conducted a restart. Then the log info said that the certificate was renewed. However, when I left the incognito mode and entered the URL in a normal web browsing mode, I still couldn't make a connection. Next, I went to Settings, System and Network. Then entered the DuckDNS URL in the Internet field and clicked Save. Unfortunately, even after doing this, the access to Home Assistant from the web and app could not be made. This problem was later solved in a very unexpected way. I am sorry for the long prelude. One day later, I restarted Home Assistant by a chance, and after restarting, the connection was suddenly back to normal. If you are experiencing similar issue, please check if this method works. After this, please go to Settings, Updates, and proceed with all available updates items. I selected the Home Assistant core. After checking versions, I created a backup. Then I proceeded with install with the item I selected. I was able to access to Home Assistant, but Node-RED flow had stopped working. According to the pop-up message, the stop timer node and the geofence node are missing. It seems like that these 2 nodes were regrettably removed from Node-RED during several times of updates. On the screen, we can see several unknown nodes and red dashed lines. When I Google it, it says that the stop timer was removed. Because I have used these two nodes quite often, and there are no nodes that can replace them, I will try to install those nodes manually, even though they were removed from the official updates. Click the hamburger icon at the top right of the Node-RED screen. Select Manage Palette and move to Install tab. Type Stop in the search bar. Select Node-RED Contrib Stop Timer and click Install. In the same way, type geofence. Select version 0.2.4, which is 5 years old, and proceed with install. If you select the geofence node, you can see the world map, but the previous configurations were deleted. So you need to draw all the geofence boundaries again. For the stop timer node, you also need to check and configure timer settings. If you see an Update Home Assistant Nodes button, click this button first before you click the Deploy button. In the previous door alarm videos, I used stop timer nodes quite often. The configuration for these stop timer nodes will be provided once I resolve the ESP Home issue first. Now, it's time for the ESP Home. Go to Settings, Add-ons, and ESP Home. As you can see, ESP Home is currently marked as deprecated and something should be done. So, if you look at the ESP Home site, all the explanation is already based on the updated version of the ESP Home. If you Google it, it says that ESP Home was added to the official add-in repository of Home Assistant in April 2022. And the existing add-in of the community version was deprecated. First, go to Settings, System, and Backups. Proceeds with ESP Home only partial backup. Then go to Settings, Add-ons, and select ESP Home. Don't be afraid and hit the uninstall. Now at the Add-ons screen, click Add-on Store in the bottom right corner. The ESP Home add-on was previously located further down, but now it is at the top side of the add-ons. Select it and proceed with install. Enable Watchdogs, Auto Update, and Show in sidebar options. Press Start, wait for a moment. And select Open Web UI or ESP Home in the sidebar. But if you wait for a moment, the two of them are connected and an update available labels appear. The other Node MCUs are currently in offline state because I disconnected the USB power cables for now. Select Update All in the upper right corner and hit Update All again. Wait for a while. And when update is complete, press Close at the bottom right. Door Alarm 1 and Door Alarm 2 are now online. Press Edit of Door Alarm 1 and let's quickly modify some part of code that is not reflecting the latest ESP Home configuration I introduced in some other videos. First, I will block Node MCU from sending LED blinking event to Home Assistant every second. The switch item makes the internal LED blinks and I will add internal keyword under this item and assign it true. In this way, the LED on-off operation is performed only inside Node MCU. And no event is to be transmitted to the Home Assistant. Next, in order to prevent switch bouncing, which is the phenomenon of sending multiple false on-off signals by the mechanical characteristics of the switch, I previously added a logic in the Node-RED side that delays the on-off state for 700 milliseconds. Then, in the later video, while I was working on the garage door project, I made this delay logic be implemented not on the Node-RED side, but on the Node MCU side by adding a filter. I will copy these contents and paste them to all individual door switches. Press Save and make the same changes to Door Alarm 2. For your reference, I am using 2 Node MCUs to check the status of 7 doors in my house. When the code is done, you can update all of them. Or you can update individual Node MCU by pressing the 3-dot button on each and selecting Install and wirelessly. Since the ESP Home is already handling the switch bouncing, I will delete the switch bouncing prevention logic on the Node-RED side, which relies on the stop timer node. In the past, I made 7 subflows for 7 doors, and there were stop timer nodes in each of the subflow. However, as we saw earlier, the stop timer node was removed from the Node-RED update. And it was manually reinstalled by me. The stop timer nodes, once inside the subflows, were deleted and then came back to life. But they lost their way. So they are brought out of the subflow and sitting in the wrong place. It seems to be just 1 stop timer, but a total of 7 stop timers are overlaid now. Also, there are other stop timers that are doing door open reminders here. I will delete all these stop timers. Now, let's double-click on the subflow responsible for the opening and closing of the basement right window. Click Edit Subflow Template on the right. The connections of nodes in the middle are largely broken. The change node in the upper area holds a message that the basement right window has been opened. The lower side change node holds a stop string to trigger the stop timer node. In order to link all the broken connections, first, make a connection between change node of door name and template node for string conversion. Next, bring the stop timer node to the proper place. In order to broadcast a door open reminder every 9 minutes, set the stop timer node to wait for 9 minutes. Connect the input of the stop timer node. To make the reminder work repeatedly, make a feedback loop from the stop timer node to this dummy function node. And back to the stop timer node again. Then connect the stop timer output to the change node that holds the stays open for a while text. Editing of the subflow finished. Please close the subflow tab. In my case, I cut the connection to TTS because I had a problem with the function. But now I will connect it again. Then, you should repeat the editing for all other subflows. I will skip this process. However, the reminder time should be set to appropriate minutes for each of the doors in your house. Hit the deploy button, and this is for the ESP Home. If you want to use TTS, you would click the speaker card as you had done before. Then you will see a message that TTS has moved to the media browser. You click the Browse Media button, and now you have to choose between local media and TTS. If you select TTS, you have to choose Google again. After all of this, now you can enter text. But even here, after typing a text, what I see was an error message that TTS is not working. When I googled it, when you get the same error as me, since May 2022. One thing you can try is to edit the configuration.yaml file. First, check if the TTS item in your file is similar to mine. Also, look for an item called media source, and if you don't have one, please add one line like here. In my case, after saving and restarting, the TTS function was back to normal. Now, let's simplify the complicated TTS steps so that text can be entered directly on the overview screen. Before doing this, I will move all speaker entities to a dedicated speaker tab I previously made. In edit mode, press the 3-dot button on the speaker, select Move to View, and select the previously created speakers tab. After this, navigate to Settings, Device and Service, and select the Helpers tab. Click Create Helper and select Text. Name it TTS Text. Type text in the icon search box and select a figure of your choice. Set maximum length to 400 and hit Create. A helper called TTS Text has been created. Now select Edit Dashboard from the overview screen and press Add Card. Select Entities. Title will be TTS. Delete unrelated entities. Type TTS in the entity field and select the TTS text you created as helper previously. A preview will show you what your upcoming card will look like. If you hit Show Code Editor, you can see how the contents edited with the GUI are defined. Hit Save and finish the editing mode, then you will see the text input card on the overview screen. Now open Node-RED. Find some space for new nodes. In the node search bar, type state. And bring the event state node here. Double-click it. The entity is TTS text. In the output properties, delete everything except message.payload. And for options of ignore state change event when, select 3 options above. Finally, the name of the node is TTS text changed. Next, bring a switch node and connect it. Set the condition of this node to is not empty. And name it, reject empty text. Literally, if the status of the text becomes an empty string, the TTS service will not be called. And bring a call service node and connect it to the switch node. The name of this node is Google TTS. Domain is TTS. Service is Google_say. If you want all your speakers to speak, search for the home group and select it for the entity. Otherwise, you can select a specific speaker from the entities. Select JSON for the data. Enter the following text without any single typo. In particular, it's not a dot, but it's a colon. Click the Add button to add one output property. The left side is message.payload. On the right, select Sent Data. I will not use the output of Google TTS right now, but it will be later used to debug or to connect to other nodes. Node editing is finished. Hit Deploy button. Now you can test.
Hello.
Okay, TTS works fine.
Hi, how are you?
However, if you try to enter the text again, the previous text should be manually deleted. I will present 2 methods for deleting previously entered text. The first method is to automatically delete the entered text after speaking the TTS message. The second is to make an X mark below the text field and delete the text only when the X is clicked. Please make your own choice after watching this video. Let's check out the first method. Go to Settings, Automation and Scenes and select the Script tab. Select Add Script. The name of the script is Delete TTS Text. Search the icon area with the keyword delete and select some nice looking trash bin. Don't change entity ID and mode. Click Add Action. And select Call Service as an action. Type input text in the service and select input text: set. For target, click the Choose Entity button and select TTS text. After that, you need to enter a value and you should press the space bar here. Then click the 3-dot button to the right of sequence and select Edit in YAML. Then you can see the definition of the sequence in YAML format instead of GUI mode. Here, the value is a space surrounded by quotation marks. Since what we really want for the value is an empty string instead of a space, we need to change the value from a space to a null string in this YAML format. When this script runs, the contents of the input text will be deleted by the definition of this script. Click Save Script. Now, let's write hello in the TTS text on the overview screen. And go back to the Script tab. I'm going to hit the 3 dots button and select Run. Then, it appears that the previously defined Delete TTS text script has been triggered. If you return to the overview screen, you can see the hello text you just entered for the TTS is now erased. Now, let's make this deleting script we just created automatically triggered after speaking TTS text. Go to Node-RED. I will bring another call service node after the Google TTS node. The name of this node is delete TTS text. Domain is script. For service, select delete TTS text, which is the name of the script you just made. Select JSON for data. And click Done. Between these two call service nodes, place one change node and connect them together. The role of this change node is to make message.payload an empty string. Name it empty payload and click Done. Now click Deploy and you're done. I'll go over to the overview screen and test it out.
Hello. Please like and subscribe to this channel.
Yes, it works. If you don't like the way to delete the TTS text, an alternative way is available. Let's check it out. Having tried both methods, I personally prefer this method. Go to Node-RED and delete the nodes you just appended. Click Deploy. Go to Overview and change to Dashboard Edit mode. Select Edit of the TTS card. Click Show Code Editor. Add a line below the entity. Be sure to type the following code with the correct indent. --type : call service. In the next line, name : and a space surrounded by single quotation marks. The screen radically shakes every time you enter the code. Please don't panic. In the next line, type action _ name : and X. On the next line, type service : script. Delete _TTS text. On the next line, type icon : and type MDI : trash and select outline trash can. Check the preview window and click Save. Let's finish editing and do the test.
Please like and subscribe to this channel. Wow, it works.
Yes, it works very well. This is it for today's video. I am sorry because I returned too late and I couldn't cover lots of things in today's video. But I wish today's video is helpful, especially if you use TTS often. I will try to cover other useful stuff in the next videos. Maybe the content doesn't use Home Assistant for the first time. Or, it may not be directly related to home automation at all. I'll be back soon. Goodbye.